When I was diagnosed with lymphoma, it felt like the first piece of advice I found was to go on a strict keto diet. I'm not kidding. Family, friends, countless forums online, they all said the same thing. You have to starve the cancer. And honestly, it sounded empowering. It felt like something I could finally control when everything else was spinning out of my hands. But when I told my oncologist my grand plan, her reaction was not what I expected. She didn't pat me on the back for being proactive. Instead, she paused, gave me this look of serious concern, and told me that the keto diet could actually make my chemotherapy journey much, much harder and maybe even more dangerous. Hi, I'm Joey, and in this video, I'm going to share what she told me, the risk she laid out that I had never even thought about. And more importantly, I'm going to share the gentle nutrition approach she recommended instead, an approach that helped me not just survive treatment, but actually feel strong enough to get through it. This is the conversation I wish someone had shared with me right at the very beginning. When you get a cancer diagnosis, your world just shrinks. Suddenly, your whole life is a series of appointments, scans, and waiting for results. You feel completely powerless. So when someone hands you an action plan, something you can do right now to fight back, you grab onto it with both hands. For me, one of these was the ketogenic diet. The logic seems so simple and powerful. I learned about the Warburg effect, which is this scientific observation that a lot of cancer cells are just incredibly hungry for glucose or sugar. They gobble it up to fuel their crazy growth. So the idea of starving them by cutting off their main fuel supply felt like the most logical weapon I had. If cancer wanted sugar, I just wouldn't give it any. I'd force my body into ketosis, where it burns fat for fuel instead of carbs. Simple, right? I went deep down the rabbit hole online. I saw all these stories from people who swore by it. I read blogs and watched videos that basically presented keto as a non-negotiable part of fighting cancer. It felt so empowering. It gave me a purpose beyond just showing up for my infusions. I wasn't just a passive patient anymore. I was an active warrior, meticulously controlling every single thing that passed my lips. I really believed that being the perfect patient meant following the strictest diet, and I was ready to do it, no matter how hard it was. I walked into my oncologist's office for my doctor's visit before one of my chemo sessions, feeling so prepared, almost proud. I had my notes, my meal plans, my whole game face on. I laid out my plan to start a strict ketogenic diet right alongside my treatment, and that's when the record scratched. She listened patiently, and then she leaned forward, her expression shifting from professional to genuinely concerned. I completely get why this is so appealing, she said, but I have to advise you against it, and I really need you to understand why. She then gave me 3 warnings that totally flipped my understanding of cancer nutrition upside down. Her first warning was about malnutrition and muscle wasting. She explained that a huge number of patients, especially with lymphoma, struggle with something called cachexia. This isn't just regular weight loss. It's a severe, uncontrolled wasting away of muscle that can make you too weak to even handle your treatment. She told me, your number one job right now is not to starve cancer cells, is to keep your healthy cells strong enough to withstand the chemotherapy. Chemo is a marathon, and you can't run a marathon on an empty tank. A super restrictive diet like keto can make it incredibly hard to get enough calories, which puts you at a huge risk for Her second warning was about making chemo side effects even worse. She was brutally honest. On your worst days, she said, you are not going to want a plate of steak and avocado. You're going to be nauseous. Your mouth will be sore, and nothing is going to taste right. She explained that chemo side effects often demand the exact opposite of a restrictive diet. You need soft, bland, easy to digest foods. Think bananas, rice, crackers, and oatmeal. These are the foods that are gentle on your system and give you quick, accessible energy. On a strict keto diet, all of those lifeline foods are forbidden. The diet could turn the misery of chemo into an impossible battle just to get basic nutrition. Her final warning was the one that really scared me. She talked about the hidden dangers we're still just learning about. She mentioned a recent 2024 study from Columbia University. Now it was in mice, and it was for breast cancer, but the findings were alarming. The study found that while a keto diet did slow the growth of the main tumor, It also significantly increased the spread of cancer to other parts of the body, a process called metastasis. The researchers think this happens because when you starve cancer cells of glucose, it can trigger a survival mode that encourages them to escape and look for fuel somewhere else. Again, this was an animal study, not in lymphoma, but she said it highlights a critical point. We just don't know enough about how keto affects all cancers, and there's a real risk it could backfire. She finished by saying, the internet gives you rules. Your body during chemo needs kindness and flexibility. We can't afford to be rigid. If any of this is hitting home for you, or if you've ever felt the pressure to try a restrictive diet during your own health journey, please take a second to hit that like button. It really does help get this information out to others who might be feeling that same pressure and confusion. Let me know what you've gone through in the comments below. I truly do read every one. So my oncologist didn't just tear down my keto plan. She replaced it with something so much better. Something grounded not in restriction, but in support. She called it gentle nutrition, and it was a complete mind shift. The goal was no longer to attack the cancer with my diet, but to fiercely protect and support my own body through the whole ordeal. First principle, calories and protein are your best friends. She told me my body was about to go to war, and if it needed an army, calories are the soldiers and protein is the armor. Protein is absolutely crucial for repairing the healthy cells that chemo damages, holding onto your muscle mass and keeping your immune system working. My job wasn't to count carbs, it was to get enough high-quality protein and calories in whatever form I could tolerate. That meant eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken, beans, and yeah, a lot of protein shakes. The second principle was a huge one for me. Carbs are not the enemy. This was such a mental hurdle to get over. But she explained that our healthy cells, including our brain and immune cells, need glucose to work right. During the intense stress of chemo, easy-to-digest carbs are a vital source of quick energy. We're talking oatmeal, potatoes, whole grain toast, and fruit. These foods weren't villains anymore. They were the fuel that helped me get out of bed on really tough days. And the third and most important principle was to listen to your body, not the rules. There are going to be good days and bad days. On good days, I was encouraged to eat a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables for all their vitamins and antioxidants. But on the bad days, the goal was survival. Some days, all I could stomach was a bowl of plain white rice or a few crackers. And my medical team celebrated that. They celebrated every single calorie, because every calorie was a small victory that kept me strong enough for the next round of treatment. There was no guilt, only support. This approach gave me a different kind of control. The control to just be kind to myself. It meant I could have a smoothie when my mouth was sore, have some toast when I was nauseous, and eat a full balanced meal when I finally got my appetite back. It was this gentle, flexible approach got me through the hardest parts of chemotherapy. Okay, so I want to be really clear about something. This doesn't mean that the ketogenic diet has no place in cancer research. Not at all. In fact, there are some really exciting areas being explored. New studies from 2024, like from researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, are looking into whether a keto diet or its byproducts might actually boost the effectiveness of advanced treatments like CAR T cell therapy for blood cancers, including lymphoma. However, as my oncologist stressed, and the researchers themselves warn, this is all still highly experimental. This kind of diet should only ever be done as part of a formal clinical trial under the strict supervision of a medical team. It is not a DIY therapy to try at home because you saw a headline. The science is still evolving, and while it might help in one very specific controlled context, it could be harmful in another. So what I learned through all this is that while the idea of starving cancer is incredibly seductive, the reality, at least for me and for many others going through standard chemo for lymphoma, is that you risk starving your own body in the process. You risk making the treatment harder, the side effects worse, and you could be taking on unknown risks that the science is only just beginning to understand. The most powerful thing you can do with your diet during cancer treatment is to nourish your body, maintain your strength, and give yourself the grace and flexibility to eat what you can, when you can. Your healing isn't a measure of perfection. It's a measure of resilience. And your body needs fuel to be resilient. So let go of the guilt. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more about the kinds of foods that really help me on those tough days, check out my next video on the best soft foods for chemo patients. And please, I can't say this enough. Always talk to your own oncologist and a registered dietitian before making any big changes to your diet. Your journey is unique, and your medical team is your best guide. You're not alone in this. If there's one thing I hope you take from this video, it's that you don't have to follow extreme diets or cut out entire food groups to support your healing. For many lymphoma patients, especially during treatment, gentle, balanced, sustainable nutrition is what your body actually needs. And if you want help with that, I made a free mini ebook called Gentle Nutrition: 5 Easy Recipes for Chemo Days. You can grab it using the link in the description. It's the same comfort food I leaned on during treatment when nothing else sounded good. If this video brought you clarity or some peace around all the mixed messages out there, please subscribe. It helps this community grow, and it lets YouTube know to share these videos with more people who need support. Oh, and soon I'm going to put out how to support someone with cancer. It's one of the most personal videos I've made, and I think it might help you or the people you love. So subscribe. I'm Joey, and this is Thriving with Cancer. You're not alone, and your healing truly matters. Thank you.